What's up, purple people eaters? If you thought this season was going to be different, if you thought we finally had our pieces in place, then what I'm about to tell you is going to shake you to your core. The last 24 hours have been absolutely devastating for our Minnesota Vikings. And I mean devastating in ways that will make you question everything about this franchise. Everything about our luck, and everything about whether we're cursed to repeat the same heartbreak year after year after year. Right now, as I'm talking to you, we have 5 major situations that have completely flipped this season upside down. 5 situations that went from hope to despair in the span of one brutal game against Atlanta. We're talking about our franchise quarterback. The guy we thought was our future, suddenly facing weeks on the sideline. We're talking about our Pro Bowl running back, the engine of our offense, potentially done for multiple games. We're talking about multiple starters, key pieces of our defense and offensive line, all in concussion protocol at the same time. But here's what's really gonna blow your mind. In the middle of all this chaos, there's one story that's so crazy, so unexpected, that it reads like something out of a Hollywood script. A veteran quarterback who was literally sitting on his couch 3 weeks ago is now about to make NFL history. And then, just when you think it can't get any worse, there might be one ray of hope. One player who's been fighting his way back from injury, who might just save our season. I need to know something from you right now before we dive deep into this nightmare. When you saw that scoreboard Sunday night, 22-6 Atlanta, did you feel it? Did you feel that familiar Vikings heartbreak creeping back in? Because what happened in that game? The injuries, the chaos, the complete collapse of our depth chart, it's going to define the next month of our season. Hit that like button right now if you're ready to hear the truth about what's really happening with our team. And comment below. Tell me honestly, are you still believing in this season, or are you already preparing for another year of disappointment? Because the first revelation I'm about to drop on you, it involves the player we've all been waiting to see develop, and the news is absolutely crushing. Stay right there because this is about to get intense. You know that moment when you realize your season is hanging by a thread? When you look at your roster and suddenly half your starters are questionable? Well, that moment hit us like a freight train on Sunday night. We're not talking about one player. We're not talking about a minor setback. We're talking about a concussion crisis that has completely decimated our depth chart in ways that would make any coaching staff panic. I'm talking about Ryan Kelly, our starting center, the anchor of our offensive line, the guy who's supposed to protect whoever's under center. Kelly took a hit in the second half that left him wobbly, and now he's deep in concussion protocol. Without Kelly, our interior line becomes a question mark against a Bengals pass rush that's hungry for blood. But it doesn't stop there. Justin School, our left tackle who's been holding down the fort while Darisaw recovers, he's also in protocol. Think about this for a second. Our center and our left tackle, the 2 most critical positions for quarterback protection, both potentially out for week 3. Andrew Van Ginkel, our linebacker who's been a revelation in Brian Flores' defense, the guy who's been creating pressure and making plays all over the field, also concussed. Van Ginkel has been one of our most consistent defensive playmakers, and losing him means our pass rush takes a massive hit. And here's the kicker. Jeff Okudah, our cornerback who we brought in to shore up our secondary, he's in protocol too. 4 starters, 4 key pieces of our puzzle, all taken out by the same invisible enemy that you can't game plan for, can't prepare for, can't overcome with scheme or heart or determination. Kevin O'Connell tried to sound optimistic in his press conference, saying he expects good news about Van Ginkel and Okudah. But here's what he's not saying. Here's what no coach wants to admit. When you have 4 players in concussion protocol at the same time, your season doesn't just take a hit. It takes a haymaker that leaves you staggering. The scariest part, concussions are unpredictable. A player can look fine in practice Monday, fail a test Tuesday, pass everything Wednesday, then have symptoms return Thursday. It's not like a pulled hamstring where you know the timeline. It's not like a sprained ankle where you can play through pain. Brain injuries don't care about your playoff hopes. This is what separates championship teams from pretenders: depth, the ability to plug in backup players and maintain your level of play. But when you lose your center, your left tackle, your starting linebacker, and a key cornerback all in one game, that's not testing your depth. That's exposing that you never had enough quality depth to begin with. I need to ask you something, and I want you to be honest in the comments. How confident are you in our backup offensive linemen protecting our quarterback? How confident are you in our reserve linebackers stopping Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase? Because those backups are about to get thrown into the fire against one of the most explosive offenses in the NFL. Drop a comment right now and tell me, do you think this concussion crisis is just bad luck? Or is it a sign that our strength and conditioning program needs a complete overhaul? But if you think multiple starters and concussion protocol is bad, wait until you hear what happened to the player we've been calling our franchise quarterback. This next story is going to make you question everything about our season timeline. There's that moment in every young quarterback's career where everything changes. Where the game slows down, where the pocket feels comfortable, where you realize you belong in the NFL. For our guy, that moment got ripped away in the most devastating way possible. We're talking about J.J. McCarthy, the quarterback we drafted to be our future, the Michigan champion we thought was going to lead us to the promised land. And right now he's facing 2 to 4 weeks on the sideline with a high ankle sprain that has completely derailed his development. It happened in the third quarter against Atlanta. McCarthy scrambled for 16 yards on what looked like a routine play. A play that should have been a positive moment in a game where positive moments were few and far between. But as he planted his foot to cut upfield, his ankle twisted in a way that made everyone in US Bank Stadium hold their breath. The medical staff knew immediately. You could see it in their faces, in the way they handled his ankle, in the careful way they helped him off the field. McCarthy tried to walk it off, tried to show that Vikings toughness we all love. But a high ankle sprain doesn't care about your heart or your determination. Here's what makes this so crushing. McCarthy has played exactly 95 snaps this season. 95. That's barely 2 full games worth of experience, and now his development gets put on hold for potentially a month. In the NFL, continuity is everything. Rhythm is everything. Getting into a flow with your receivers, learning to read defenses in real time, building trust with your offensive line, all of that stops now. Kevin O'Connell used the word devastating when talking about this injury, and he wasn't being dramatic. O'Connell knows what it takes to develop a young quarterback. He knows that every snap matters, every rep in practice matters, every chance to learn from mistakes in real games matters. And all of that just got stolen from McCarthy by one awkward plant of his foot. The numbers tell the story of a quarterback still finding his way. McCarthy has the second worst QBR in the league at 20.1. His completion percentage sits at just 54%. These aren't numbers that inspire confidence, but they're also the numbers of a rookie learning on the job. The problem is, rookies need reps to improve. They need to play through mistakes, work through growing pains, develop chemistry with their weapons. Instead, McCarthy gets to watch from the sideline while his teammates fight for their season. He gets to watch Carson Wentz take the snaps he needs, throw to the receivers he's trying to build relationships with, operate in the system he's still learning. And here's the brutal reality that no one wants to talk about. High ankle sprains linger. They affect your mobility, your ability to step into throws, your confidence in the pocket. Even when McCarthy comes back, will he be the same player? Will he still have that dual threat ability that made him so dangerous at Michigan? This injury doesn't just affect week 3 against Cincinnati. It could affect his entire rookie season, his confidence, his development trajectory. Championship windows in the NFL are narrow, and we just watched ours get smaller because of one play, one awkward step, one moment of bad luck. Tell me in the comments, how do you feel about McCarthy's development being derailed right when he was starting to get comfortable? Do you think this injury is just a setback? Or could it change his entire career path? And speaking of career-altering injuries, what I'm about to tell you about our Pro Bowl running back is going to make this whole situation even more desperate. Sometimes one player is the difference between a functioning offense and complete chaos. Sometimes that player is so integral to everything you do that losing him doesn't just hurt your game plan, it forces you to completely reimagine who you are as a team. That player for us has been our engine, our heartbeat, our most consistent source of explosive plays in the running game. I'm talking about Aaron Jones, and a hamstring injury he suffered in the second half against Atlanta might have just torpedoed our entire offensive identity. Jones limped off the field, clutching the back of his leg, and anyone who's ever dealt with hamstring injuries knows that look. It's not the kind of pain you can tape up and play through. It's not the kind of injury where adrenaline carries you back onto the field. Hamstring injuries are tricky. They're unpredictable, and they have a nasty habit of getting worse if you try to rush back too soon. Kevin O'Connell was blunt about the situation. Jones probably won't play in week 3. In coach speak, probably means definitely not. But O'Connell is trying to maintain some hope, some leverage, some possibility that maybe Jones can defy the medical odds. But here's the reality we need to face. Aaron Jones isn't just our starting running back. He's our security blanket. He's the guy who turns broken plays into positive yards. He's the receiving threat out of the backfield who gives our quarterback an easy outlet when the pocket collapses. He's the veteran presence who knows how to pick up blitzes, how to find soft spots in zone coverage, how to make something out of nothing. This season, Jones has been averaging 8 yards per carry, and has already shown that perfect combination of power and finesse that made him so effective in Green Bay. More importantly, he's been the one consistent bright spot in an offense that's been struggling to find its identity with a rookie quarterback. Now we're looking at Jordan Mason stepping into the lead role. Mason, who we signed from San Francisco's practice squad, has talent, but he's not Aaron Jones. He doesn't have the same vision, the same experience, the same relationship with our offensive line. Mason has actually gotten more snaps than Jones in the first 2 games. But that was by design, part of a rotation meant to keep both players fresh. Being thrust into the RB1 role against Cincinnati's defense is a completely different challenge. The Bengals know they can load the box now. They know they can dare our backup quarterback to beat them through the air. They know our running game just lost its most dynamic weapon. But here's what really makes this injury devastating. Hamstring injuries linger even when Jones comes back. Will he have that same burst through the hole? Will he have the confidence to cut hard and accelerate without worrying about re-injury? Hamstring injuries get in players' heads, make them hesitant, make them think twice before making the explosive cuts that separate good runners from great ones. The ripple effects are massive. Without Jones, our play-action game becomes less effective because defenses won't respect our run fake. Our third down conversion rate takes a hit because we lose our most reliable check down option. Our red zone offense becomes more predictable because we lose the guy who can punch it in from anywhere inside the 5-yard line. And timing couldn't be worse. We're about to face a brutal stretch of games against AFC North defenses that are built to stop the run. Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Cleveland. These are teams with physical front sevens that eat up one-dimensional offenses. Answer me this in the comments. Do you think losing Aaron Jones for potentially multiple weeks kills our already slim playoff hopes? Can Jordan Mason step up and carry this load? Or are we about to find out just how much we relied on Jones to make our offense functional? But if you think losing our starting running back is the most shocking part of this story, wait until you hear about the quarterback solution that literally no one saw coming. 3 weeks ago, he was sitting on his couch in North Dakota, wondering if his NFL career was over. Today, he's about to make history that no quarterback has ever achieved in the modern era. Now, this is the Carson Wentz story that nobody saw coming, and it's so wild that you wouldn't believe it if it happened in a movie. Carson Wentz is now our starting quarterback for Week 3 against Cincinnati, and if he takes that first snap on Sunday, he'll become the first quarterback in NFL history to play for 6 different teams in 6 consecutive seasons. Let that sink in for a moment. 6 teams, 6 years, 6 different uniforms, 6 different systems, 6 different coaching staffs. Philadelphia, Indianapolis, Washington, Los Angeles Rams, Kansas City Chiefs, and now Minnesota Vikings. That's not just a journeyman career. That's a nomadic existence that speaks to both incredible resilience and some serious questions about consistency. But here's what makes this story absolutely insane. Wentz wasn't even on our roster a month ago. He was literally at home, probably wondering if anyone would ever call again. Probably thinking his NFL dreams were finished at 32 years old. And then JJ. McCarthy gets hurt, Sam Darnold proves he's not the long-term answer, and suddenly our phone rings with a desperation call. The timing is almost poetic. Wentz got his first real reps with the first team last Thursday when McCarthy missed practice for the birth of his son Rome. Kevin O'Connell praised Wentz's presence and command during that session. And now that presence is about to be tested in the most pressure-packed situation possible. Think about the mental toughness this requires. Wentz has been written off, criticized, benched, traded, and released more times than most quarterbacks ever experience. He's been called a bust, a head case, a guy who can't read defenses, a player whose best days are behind him. And yet here he is, ready to step into the starting role for a team desperate for stability at the most important position. The scouting reports on Wentz are mixed, and that's putting it kindly. He has a cannon for an arm and can make throws that very few quarterbacks in the league can make. But he also has a tendency to hold onto the ball too long, to try to make the hero play when the smart play is right in front of him, to force throws into coverage that should never be attempted. Max Brosma, our undrafted rookie from New Hampshire, will be his backup. Think about that depth chart for a second. Our starting quarterback is a 32-year-old journeyman who was unemployed 3 weeks ago. And our backup is a rookie who was playing FCS football last season. If that doesn't terrify you about our season outlook, you're more optimistic than our coaching staff. But here's the thing about Carson Wentz. When he's good, he's really good. His arm talent is undeniable. His ability to extend plays and create something out of nothing can be game-changing. The question is whether he can be the steady, mistake-free quarterback we need, or if he'll revert to the gunslinger mentality that got him benched in Philadelphia, Indianapolis, and Washington. O'Connell is betting on Wentz's experience, his professionalism, his understanding of what it takes to win in this league. But it's a massive gamble with our season hanging in the balance. One bad game, one string of interceptions, one meltdown under pressure, and we're right back to square one with a rookie quarterback who's never taken a meaningful NFL snap. The pressure is immense. Vikings fans are desperate for stability at quarterback. The locker room needs leadership. The offensive coordinator needs someone who can execute the game plan without turning the ball over. And Wentz needs to prove that he's not just another reclamation project who flames out spectacularly. Be honest with me in the comments. Are you excited about Carson Wentz getting this opportunity, or are you terrified that we're about to repeat the same quarterback mistakes we've been making for years? Do you think his experience gives us a better chance to win than McCarthy would have? Or is this just delaying the inevitable? But while we're talking about players getting opportunities to prove themselves, there's one more story that might give us reason for hope. Sometimes, in the middle of absolute chaos, a hero emerges. Sometimes, when everything is falling apart around you, one player's return can change the entire trajectory of your season. Right now, with our offensive line decimated by injuries and our quarterback situation in complete flux, we might be about to get our savior back. Christian Darrisaw is close to returning from the knee surgery that has kept him out since October of last season, and Kevin O'Connell's confidence about his return might be the first genuinely good news we've had in weeks. When asked about Darrisaw's status, O'Connell was emphatic, not cautiously optimistic, not we'll see how he feels. Emphatic. Yes, he said, when asked if Darrisaw was close to coming back. That kind of certainty from a head coach who's been dealing with nothing but bad injury news, that's the kind of certainty that gives you hope. Let me remind you what we're missing without Darrisaw. We're talking about one of the best young left tackles in the entire NFL, a player who was dominating before his injury, who was protecting Kirk Cousins' blindside like a brick wall, who was opening up running lanes that made our entire offense more explosive. Darrisaw isn't just another offensive lineman, he's the foundation that everything else is built on. With him in the lineup, our quarterbacks can trust their blindside, our running backs can count on clean holes opening up, our play-action game becomes more effective because defenses have to respect our ability to run behind elite blocking. The timing couldn't be more perfect. With Ryan Kelly in concussion protocol and Justin School also potentially out, getting Darrisaw back would solve our biggest immediate problem. Instead of rolling out Walter Rouse or some other backup tackle against Cincinnati's pass rush, we could have our all-pro caliber left tackle protecting Carson Wentz's blindside. Think about what Darrisaw's return means for Wentz specifically. Wentz has never been great at sensing pressure from his backside. He's always been the type of quarterback who needs to trust his protection, who needs to know that his left tackle can handle speed rushers one-on-one. Darrisaw gives him that security blanket that could be the difference between success and disaster. But here's what makes this story even better. Darrisaw has been working his way back for months. This isn't a rush job. This isn't a desperation move where we're throwing an injured player onto the field because we have no other choice. This is a calculated return of a franchise cornerstone who's been methodically rehabbing and preparing for this moment. The knee surgery he had in October was serious, but it wasn't career-threatening. It was the kind of procedure that takes time to heal properly. that requires patience and careful monitoring. The fact that O'Connell sounds confident about his return suggests that Darisaw has been progressing ahead of schedule, that his knee is responding well to the workload. Our offensive line coach has been preparing for this moment. The game plan against Cincinnati can be built around having Darisaw back at left tackle, around having that elite level of protection that allows our offense to function the way it's designed to function. And here's the psychological impact. Having Darisaw back changes how opposing defenses have to approach us. They can't just send their best pass rusher at our weakest link anymore. They have to respect our ability to protect long enough for downfield routes to develop. They have to account for our improved run blocking on the left side. The ripple effects extend beyond just blocking. Darisaw's return could be the catalyst that gets our entire offense back on track. Better protection leads to better quarterback play. Better run blocking leads to more explosive running plays. More balance in our offense leads to more opportunities for our receivers to get open. But I need to know what you think about this timeline. Are you confident that Darisaw can come back and immediately perform at an all-pro level after missing almost a full season? Do you think his return is enough to save our offensive line crisis? Or is losing Kelly and Skule still too much to overcome? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Tell me honestly, is Christian Darisaw's return the game changer that turns our season around? Or are we putting too much pressure on one player to fix all our problems? Because here's what we know for certain. This season is about to be defined by how we respond to adversity. Multiple starters in concussion protocol, our franchise quarterback injured, our Pro Bowl running back potentially out for weeks, and a journeyman quarterback who's about to make NFL history for all the wrong reasons. The next few weeks will tell us everything about who this team really is. Are we a resilient group that can overcome injuries and find ways to win? Or are we just another Vikings team that finds new and creative ways to break our hearts? One thing is guaranteed. With Carson Wentz under center, Christian Darisaw potentially returning, and our season hanging in the balance against Cincinnati, this is going to be the most important game we've played in years. Hit that subscribe button if you want to stay updated on every twist and turn of this wild season. And tell me in the comments, after everything that's happened in the last 24 hours, are you still believing in this team, or are you already looking ahead to next year's draft? Because whatever happens next, it's going to be unforgettable. Skol Vikings, let's see what we're made of.